Hellenism in Ancient Greece by Samantha Pugh. This presentation will examine ancient Greek culture around the time of Hellenism. It will compare what pop culture has portrayed Greek culture to be and how culture actually was. There are so many different media outlooks on Greek culture that it is hard to now separate what is fiction and what is nonfiction. So what is Hellenism? Hellenism is a period of time after Alexander the Great, who built the Empire of Macedonia, all the way from Greece to India. This was an important time of expansion in history because it spread the way of Greek life and beliefs from Greece all the way throughout Asia. Hellenistic literally means to speak Greek or identify with the Greeks. When people think about Greek culture, they typically rely on what they have seen or read growing up. Popular culture tends to either spice it up or water it down, history and cultures. The best example is Disney's Hercules, where M. Keith Brooker describes it as, "This is a film designed for fun, not for paying respect to a cultural past." So the question is, how much is an exaggerated truth of the real history? While stated above, the Hellenistic period was the identity of the people of Macedonia. More specifically, it was built up of many nations. They include mainland Greece, Asia Minor, the Levant, ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, Persia, Central and South Asia. In modern times, these include but are not limited to India, Syria, parts of Italy, Bulgaria, Turkey, Cyprus, Iraq, Iran, Israel, Afghanistan, Mongolia, and Turkmenistan. Hellenism lasted from the time Alexander the Great died in 323 BC until 31 BC, when Rome defeated the Macedonian Empire. Macedonia was allowed to grow mainly due to their advanced military technology. This period of time had a great deal of world trading, art and architecture, and strange political dynamics. With ancient Greece being so large, trade had to be precise and well planned out. During Alexander's takeover, he made these many nations a part of one market, where a few semi-autonomous cities became commercial centers. Foreign trade included parts of India that were not under control, Parthia, the Arabian Peninsula, much of Africa, and some of Europe. Important trade items included many war items due to the need to expand Macedonia. Therefore, they purchased weapons, clothing materials that included wood and iron to build ships and weapons. However, as the need from kings to become independent increased, it caused a decline in trade amongst the Greek kingdoms. The main import for Greek cities included grain and raw material, and their main export was manufactured goods. Trade routes that were important mainly took place in water settings such as the Mediterranean and the Nile. The most popular land route was the Silk Road. The currency used was developed by Alexander the Great, called the Attic, and was largely successful based on the silver, and everyone used it but Egypt. At the heart of any empire or nation is their culture. The most fascinating part about culture is the art that is produced. While artists were highly skilled, they were not held in high regard in society. Ceramic creations were a popular item to trade and created a high demand. Another popular item was a textile called the byssos, which were a fine textured linen, and dye was also becoming popular. Another important part of culture is education. This Greek period included many influential thinkers such as Plato. Important studies emerged such as ethnography, especially in the regions of the Mediterranean Sea and the Black Sea. Scientific astronomy also began in this period and is when the first thoughts of the sun on an axis emerged. An important part of the cultural life was the emergence of the democratic way of life, which in turn turned education to public schools, where everyone could enjoy classes such as music and other arts. Minor Asia was also the first to create a tier system for schools from the primary level up. It is also a time where education changed from repeating myths to critiquing them. Another base for any empire is its political structure and how it is governed. The Hellenistic period was ruled in kingdoms, but under the Empire of Macedonia. For example, Egypt was its own kingdom, but it was under the Empire of Macedonia. Each kingdom was ruled as an absolute monarchy due to the fact that the Greek believed the lawful rights that an extraordinary individual could claim. Now for the part that is most portrayed in popular media, religion. Religion is the keystone to what people think Greek culture is. You think of Hercules, like in the Disney movie, tan, muscles, gorgeous, perfect features, and most importantly, he is the guy who triumphs. Another example is Athena. For Greek women, her beauty, wisdom, arts, and war. This makes you think Greek women are slightly unbalanced, pretty, but warlike, as can be depicted in popular movies like My Big Fat Greek Wedding, where it seems none of the women can get their wits about them. So what was Greek religion really like, and how much of the myths is actually portrayed in their daily lives? Most of it is true in the sense that there were gods and they were worshipped. In theoretical schools, especially the ones created by Plato, there were beginnings known as daomes that could communicate with humans on behalf of the gods. Many other religions also use this in the basis of their religion, such as Catholics with their priests who can relay God's words. A prime example of why Greek gods were not as fantasized in ancient Greek periods comes from the Stoics, who believed that all humans are related to the gods because of the reason they contain, and others believed them to be classes of demons. Demons are not something people typically worship. During the Hellenistic period, the religion based on astrology was formed. However, instead of being an entirely different religion than those of the Greek gods, it simply transformed Greek gods into the gods of planets. Zeus was Jupiter, Aphrodite was Venus, and Ares was Mars, and so on. Due to the ever-expanding empire and the period of enlightenment, it was inevitably brought to change to include other cultures' religions into the original Greek god religion, creating one god or the gods of Jupiter and Venus in order to meet the entire empire's needs. People stopped feeling the need to worship the gods due to the expansion of education that made it okay not to repeat myths but to critique them. So while the Hellenistic period showed a time when religion was evolving and leaving Greek gods in the end of the BC period, there was a resurgence in Greek deities and their temples restored and maintained. So while religions can decline, they can always resurge as well. Popular culture has a way of bringing the history of something old, and while elaborating on the truth can very well resurge interest in the same time period, much like it has with the British monarch history. The Hellenistic period was filled with great intellectuals and a period of great growth which can be examined in their economic, political, and cultural history, from their expansion to education and even technological advances in warfare. It can be seen that the Hellenistic period was an era of great progress that is a clear example of a world religion that is multifaceted and evolving. So while the Hellenistic period was more of men reading books and discovering astronomy and less gods protecting the people of Greece, with glitz and glamour, the base of the religion is still portrayed in popular media. While it was focused more on Jupiter than Zeus, they were still at the core representing the same ideals and values.